Wade Barrett, looking back, I think we all agree that, talent-wise, Daniel Bryan far and away should have won season 1. But Wade Barrett, it took a while to get there, but that peak Wade Barrett when he was Bad News Barrett in 2014, 2015.
My God.
They announced that he's going to be part of the downloadable content for 2K23, and I'm so stoked for it. I'm so stoked.
And if you're OG, you know about the JBL and Cole show and Bad News Barrett on the JBL and Cole show. Yeah. When they put that on TV, I was so happy. Oh my God.
When John Cena joined the Nexus, and Wade Barrett had his opportunity to face Randy Orton, I believe, what was it, at TLC? Bro, I would have thrown the WWE title on Wade Barrett. I would have thrown the world title on John Cena. I would have thrown the tag titles with Slater and Gabriel. Bro, if they would have done that, the Nexus could have been an all-time great faction, bro. If they did that. And within that, you could have built somebody else up to take down the Nexus and try to not Matt Cena. You
mean like the new Nexus?
They could have built the core. We should have got the core to take down the Nexus.
No, that's crazy.
You talk about
Sequel Jackson
where he made
new Nexus when he was sacrificing people.
Or when they tried to make
the new Nexus wasn't that bad though. I'm not gonna hold it.
It was trash.
What Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins do on the main roster, they were doing that in NXT. They were helping create stars. The Shield was helping create stars. What was the main star that they created? Big E Langston. They created Big E. They helped create Big E Langston. The Big E Langston doesn't get an NXT title run. Hell, Big E doesn't get to where he is without the Shield forming, without the Shield dominating, and without Big E going over and showing that he's the most imposing figure in NXT and he's more imposing than the Shield. And the Shield helped make stars.
When WWE created this third brand that was almost entirely made up of guys from outside WWE, and when we started getting the buzzes that Vince McMahon wasn't in charge of this, it was like, oh my God, you mean WWE is going to put out something watchable? Like what? So I think that NXT was able to get a foothold early on, even though maybe the quality wasn't as great early on, because of that general about being something different than what Raw and SmackDown were offering, which was so whitewashed and so neck deep in the PG era.
I look back at the early stages of NXT and I would think like, man, if this wasn't a WWE product and shit like that, if this was just a regular promotion, I'm not tuning in. But it was something about it being a WWE product, and not to mention they already had the loyal fan support from Florida Championship Wrestling because they transitioned into that. That's what they replaced it with. And one thing that I truly appreciate about the beginning stages of NXT is they realized, we can't keep bringing up Raw and SmackDown superstars to NXT to have matches and then hopefully, stars will eventually be born. Like, they did that with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They brought Randy Orton down here with Damian Sandow a couple times, shit like that. Cesaro. So one thing I truly appreciate is they realize if we want to make people stars in NXT, we have to use our guys to help elevate the other guys. Yeah. And when the Shield came into play, that's what jump started. Hey, we can make our own homegrown talent. We can make our own stars. We can go ahead and, we can produce people in the future. Like I said, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, the Shield. And then without the Shield, we don't get Big E Langston going up. And then without Big E Langston, we don't get the underdog story of Bo Dallas. And then Bo Dallas transitioning into a cocky heel because he beat a dominant figure like Big E Langston. We don't get these things. And honestly, it all starts with the Shield. Pretty much it all starts with the Shield just being that damn good at making stars and how young they were.
Yeah, that's what I really loved about the early days of NXT. Like, of course, you had the people like Brian and things like that, but the homegrowns were allowed to almost like experiment, I guess you would say. Try things that work and try things that didn't. And it was so long ago that we forget. So, just a couple of those people that either are gone now or have transitioned into not being as great, but for example, Enzo and Cass back then were super over. Even back in early NXT, Baron Corbin, Lone Wolf gimmick was super over. And so they were allowed to just try these different things that they wouldn't be allowed to try under Vince on the main roster. That it built, like Jade was saying, it built like this isn't normal main roster television. This is something that we can tune into, and it helped build that loyal core fan base. And that's one of the things I really, really love. I mean, it's still kind of that way now with 2.0, but Black and Gold going backwards peak, like they had that core fan base, almost like an indie fan base that just made every superstar so much more over and so much more popular that by the time they got to the main roster, everybody was expecting, well, because of what they were in NXT, they need to be something important. And obviously in hindsight, that only worked like 10% of the time. But just seeing those people, I remember very specifically sitting on my couch with my dad watching wrestling the night that Enzo and Cass debuted and watching that audience come unglued. And I had been watching NXT, so I was super hyped. But my dad, who's a casual, was like, "Who are they?" I was like, "Oh, get ready, get ready. You're about to find out who they are."